What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip and welcome back to another video. So, I want to talk about Gozyuger and one of its more overarching plot lines thus far. And we are going to talk about Sumino's sister, Otto. So, as we all know, Sumino's main reason for fighting and participating in the number one battle is that she wants to be reunited with her younger sister, Otto. And we get like a glimpse of that way back in episode 5, which basically focuses on Sumino and like how she actually becomes Goju Unicorn, her first transformation. And again, basically by the end of that episode, we get to learn that motivation. So with that said, before I continue, there are going to be some spoilers if you haven't caught up with Gozyuger recently. There are going to be some hints with episode 22, I think 22, because episode 22 is the most recent episode that just aired today as of this recording. So, with that said, again, there are going to be some spoilers because there is going to be a big reveal that I am going to say. So, again, before I continue, I want to remind everyone and make sure that you get to catch up on your Gozyuger episodes. And once you're done, you can come back to this video. Otherwise, enjoy. So, like I mentioned earlier, Sumino's main reason for fighting is to find her younger sister. And what she told us at the end of episode 5 is that she was kidnapped, or Otto, to be precise. So Otto was kidnapped by a man with gray eyes. Now, we suddenly cut to a picture of Liku wearing gray contact lenses. So during his idol days, so he wore gray contacts, but if you look closely, so his natural eye color is dark brown. So I was thinking that it was a red herring. So we don't really know how Liku is involved, but it may also kind of arch into his personal plot as well. And I will mention that once we get to episode 22, when we talk about episode 22. So, again, Sumino's sister was kidnapped by a man with gray eyes, and Liku was shown to have gray eyes, aka contact lenses, at some point during his idol career. So we do see, again, like more interaction between like Sumino and Liku, particularly in this regard though. But who knows? Maybe there's a Liku Sumino ship somewhere. But we'll get to that when that happens. So it's gonna be interesting in my opinion. So we are going to jump at the very end of, or rather, we're going to jump into episode 20 where we come back to this plot because after like episode 5 we don't actually have any mention of like Sumino's sister or anything, but what I would say is that this Sumino Liku interaction happened at episode 6, I believe, but again, it has nothing to do with the Otto in general. So coincidence? I don't think so, but again, there's nothing about Otto from that point on. So we're going to jump into episode 20 when we are introduced to the Shinkenger Universe Senshi, Otto herself. So, of course, Sumino sees this and she is, shocked to say the least. So she just suddenly sees her sister in front of her after like 8 years of going missing, and she's now the Shinken led Universe Senshi. Of course, we know that at this point, Sumino has been fighting as a Goju Unicorn for some time already. So, in episode 20, so Otto reveals that she has lost her memory to the point that she even forgot that she has a sister, which deeply upsets Sumino. However, it is also shown in the episode when the Shinken red, Sentai ring almost drops from Otto's finger, and Otto was quite in a panic when the ring almost fell off. When she mentions that when she was a child, she was caught in an accident, and she basically fell into a coma, and thanks to the Shinken red Sentai ring that she was able to come back to consciousness, and therefore without the ring she would fall back into a coma. So again, she mentions that it was some sort of accident, but I would think that uh, this was the time she was kidnapped. So again, how she got the universe, the Shinken Sentai ring is basically questionable. At this point, we don't know how a comatose girl would, you know, be even able to, make a wish or something. But nonetheless, she was given the Shinkenger ring, and what's interesting about that episode, it's she turns into a gyaru, which according to Sumino is not that kind of personality Otto had. But again, considering how she's forgotten most of her memories, again, even the fact that she has a sister, so I guess we're gonna go with the plot. But nonetheless, Otto turns into Shinken Red, and along the way she kind of gets along with Sumino, not necessarily remembering her sister, but Sumino tries to reach out to her sister and try to become close to her again, probably trying to start anew. So even if Otto doesn't remember Sumino as a sister, they can at least become close friends by Sumino acting like a gyaru herself, which is kind of touching and interesting. But of course, like, we're hoping that Otto along the way would regain her memories and remember her sister. Now, we cut to the end of episode 20 when Fire Candle realizes that he wants more power, and if he had a Sentai ring of his own, he could achieve just that. And seeing the opportunity, he thinks that the Shinken Red Ring is the most perfect fit for him, and therefore, just after the Gozyugers with Otto, so as they defeat the number one or the no one monster, so Fire Candle steps in from out of nowhere, or rather, he was waiting for that opportunity. So he strikes down Otto, knocks off the Sentai ring and the silver Tegasword from her hand, takes the ring for himself. Otto falls back into a coma, and right after that, a mysterious hooded figure suddenly appears, throws a smoke bomb, and takes Otto away. And one thing that we saw, or at least shown up close in the camera, is that this hooded figure had gray eyes. The gray-eyed man comes to take Otto once again. Episode 20 ends, and we go into episode 21. Obviously distraught by what happened, Sumino is still depressed. So, of course, Kinjiro tries to cheer her up by inviting her to a local festival, and, well, it kind of works in the end. So Sumino doesn't really want to go there at first because she's still obsessed, with looking for her sister, now that she has encountered Otto again after many years, only for her to be taken away again by the same gray-eyed man. So Sumino has been really fixated on investigating who this person is. But she relents when, Kinjiro tried to Kinjiro convinces her to join the festival. But even though, again, she was reluctant, she attends anyway and ends up enjoying the festival, which was really nice. And along the way, they defeated like the festival number one monster. Although the winner at that point was actually Ryugi, because he showed more festival spirit. But nonetheless, so an interesting like B plot to this episode is Liku. So obviously Liku himself is going through something mysteriously for some reason. However, we do see something about his past. So there was a man, so whom Liku looked up to since he was a child, and I guess this man inspired Liku to become an idol. So that man was just simply called Rei. So he called Rei-san. So what we know about this one, it kind of so being at the festival reminded Liku probably of that past, which kind of upsets him as well, or rather, he's he's been wondering like where's Rei-san. Like I remember like so he has like kind of heavy memories about that, and even to the point when so Bouquet, so who obviously has a huge crush on Rico, so tries to, invite him, and try to, you know, like she's honestly trying to cheer him up, but he's just so depressed, I guess, that he ends up turning her down. Like, oh my god, I just got dumped. Like, it is funny, but also at the same time heartbreaking. Like, you kind of really feel sorry for Bouquet. Like, so of course, like, she has like, you could say like idol feels, if that's the right term. So obviously Nico is as a pop star, so he's idolized by a lot of young women, and you can't blame Bouquet for doing the same. But like around episode 15, so we kind of see that she starts to develop like actual romantic feelings for him. Well, she still doesn't know that he is Goju Leon, by the way, and she hates Goju Leon for ruining her, um, you know, Rico merchandise. So she's still unaware that these two are the same person. So, yeah. But again, Rico is kind of still connected to, uh, to Otto's story. So actually, if we go back to episode 20, so there is one point where Rico actually tries to talk to Sumino, and this is like after Otto explains to everyone else that again she has been caught in an accident, and it's because she has the Shinkenger ring that she's able to snap out of a coma, and without it she falls back into a coma. And of course, Sumino overhears this and like, oh my gosh, like I've been so obsessed about trying to get back Otto, like I didn't hear her side of the story, kind of thing. Like it shows on her face. She doesn't say anything about that though. So Nico tries to hand her like a bottle of water that Otto says like, here, Otto actually wants you to have this. So Sumino explains her story to Nico, like, haven't I told you before? Or like, I guess I haven't told you before yet, or I haven't told you yet, but my sister was taken or was kidnapped many years ago, and the man who kidnapped her had gray eyes. And obviously, Rico was kind of shattered by this as well. So maybe this would, this is probably his connection to episode 21, because again, when we cut to episode 22's rather to episode 22's preview, so like last week as of this recording, so it's revealed that this Ray that Rico used to know So he is still out there, so he meets Rei again, and it is revealed, so this is the big spoiler, Rei has gray eyes. So now we cut to episode 22. So the episode starts with Liku at a bridge somewhere, and he's trying to contact someone. And he is greeted by this hooded figure, the same hooded figure that kidnapped Otto again, basically at the end of episode 20. And this hooded figure pulls out a phone that's ringing, and it turns out that this guy is actually the guy that Nico's trying to call. He pulls down his hood, takes off his mask, and it is revealed to be this Rei, the same person that Nico had been looking up to many, many years ago. And guess what? Rei has gray eyes. And Rei says it himself. He admits that he was the guy who kidnapped Otto. So, while in Riko's flashback, like, Rei is this mentor, older brother figure, if you will, but Rei shows Riko a scar on his right arm that basically reminds him of like a past event that Riko was also involved in. So this could be that time when they kidnapped Otto, but we're not really sure about that. It's just a fragment of, like, it's just a short flashback of Riko and Rei. So again, Rei got injured, so his right arm has a scar. So Rei knows that Riko is Goju Leon, and he whispers something to Riko at that point. Or, not really whisper, but he kind of has this request. So, I want you to do something for me. So, Rei says. So we cut that scene with Riko and focus on the other plot of this episode. So then we focus on the other Gozyugers facing off the No One monster, and Fire Candle also trying to again, you can say, like, acquire more power using the Shinken Red Ring. And in this episode, we also get a glimpse of the Orca Buster Go. And by next week, so episode 23, so we see Goju Wolf, or Wild Goju Wolf, but again, it's for another time. But nonetheless, so this is actually a spoiler for episode 22. I'm very sorry. So this again, so we do see the Orca Buster Go for the first time. So while the other Gozyugers like finish off the No One monster, and then Fire Candle shows up, he causes trouble for the Gozyugers again, and to be fair, like he's putting up such a good fight that even with the Mashiro on their side, so they're having a hard time against him. So he's just wild with power at this point. A Fire Candle, that guy. So Riko does show up in the end, and he starts shooting everyone. Mind blown. So this is kind of reminiscent of like Boom Boonger. So this was rather in the later part of the show when Ishiro, or Shashiro as the other Boom Boomers would affectionately call him. So he kind of betrays the Boom Boomers for his own purpose. But yeah, I would say in Riko's case, so he also betrays the other Gozyugers, but I would say like he is forced to do so. So comparing to his direct predecessor, also Blue Ranger, might I add, and considering that like Biko also has the Boom Boom Jur Sentai ring, so the coincidence is there. Again, in comparison to Ishiro, so Ishiro like has this universe brain plan. So by betraying quote unquote the Boom Boom Jurs, he actually like gets to the bottom of everything, and again, like undermining the enemy, like like to deceive the enemy, he deceives his friends, kind of strategy. But in Nico's case, like he is forced to do so. Like it feels forced. So Nico, like he is very hesitant. He looks very reluctant, but he shoots everyone. Like even Fire Candle is stumped. Like what the heck is happening here? You know. So again, yeah, Nico is kind of like turning traitor at this point, but like he turns on everyone to the point that even Fire Candle is stunned and confused. So is like is they also a universe warrior or something? We actually don't know yet, but like he knows that Rico is Goju Leon and asks Rico to betray the other Gojugers and probably get their Sentai rings if possible. And he would get quite a number of Sentai rings by betraying the other Gojugers and maybe along the way get the other Sentai rings that Fire Candle has, if he's able to do so, that is. But nonetheless, so whatever happened between him and Ray, I would say that Biko might have been feeling guilty about Ray as well, and maybe in order to make up for it, so like fine, I'll do anything you want, even though even though I think it's wrong. So again, like we can see Biko very very forced to doing something that he knows is wrong, but again, in order to make up for his mentor slash brother figure. So this is going to be quite an exciting plot. So how again Rico and Sumino, you could say, like their plots are intertwined with this mystery, and how this gray-eyed man, so Ray, is involved. So like how is he going to affect the story, especially again with regards to Nico and Sumino, and like Otto as well, if you will, by extension. So it is an interesting side plot to see, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. And by the way, so I've mentioned that today, so episode 22, right? So we see another universe Senshi transform, and he transforms into Red Buster. Now, when the announcements or the images for episode 22 came out on Twitter last week, so after last week's broadcast, so we get the announcement that Ryoma Baba, the actor for Ryuji, aka Blue Buster from Go Busters, is making a comeback to Super Sentai, and I believe he has retired at some point, but he's coming out of retirement. He's back in Super Sentai, and he's involved with a Blue Ranger, so another fellow Blue Ranger. And we see Red Busters again, Universe Senshi counterpart. So everyone was talking about it. So like, oh my god, is he going to turn into Red Buster or something? So it is an interesting thing to imagine. So having like the former Blue Ranger become the Red Ranger of his former team. Albeit this is a very different character, but this is debunked. So we see in episode 22, so there was another person who transforms into Red Buster. However, this is still a big deal because the guy who transforms into Red Buster is also another former Sentai actor, another former Ranger, and a more recent one at that, or rather a recent one at that. So, just like not Taya Hando, so I'm not gonna spoil who it is at least. You gotta watch the episode. It's still mind-blowing though. So, again, Ryoma Baba is not playing, or isn't, he is back in Super Sentai, but he is not the Red Buster Universe Senshi. I'm sorry to disappoint, but yeah, that's what happened. Again, still, it's another former Sentai actor, another former Ranger who becomes Red Buster in this episode, and it's really wild to see, like a kind of reference as well. So, in overall, I would say like if I were to give episode 22 of Gozyuger like a review, it's a solid 4 out of 5. Not really perfect, but again, the twists are there. I would say again that Universe Senshi mislead, that red herring, so again, it's still mind blowing, but it's a very interesting plot point to see, play out in future episode, because there are stakes involved here. So especially for Sumino again. So she has been fighting to look for her sister, and now that she has found Otto, Otto's taken away once again. So basically, Sumino's fight isn't over yet, obviously. So it's interesting to see how these things happen in the future. So again, let me know what you think in the comments. So thanks for watching. As always, please do leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!